What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. And you can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out, and I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. We're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. It helps if I don't have things in the way. I know, man, they are totally already blocking the sun. And they didn't even use Oprah in the United States, and that's a shame. It cracks me up because I've been called a conspiracy theorist a time or two. I've been told about how tight my tinfoil hat was. And it's kind of humorous because, you've got the people that just full on accept it. You got the people that they won't talk about it, but they know about it. And then you got the people that still full on deny it. And it's just like, Google, you can find the companies that do it. It's just like, it's a no-brainer. But, yeah, it is what it is. Huh. Man. I'm telling you. I've got, I think I was going to make sure that I didn't, accidentally not include that headline. Yeah, cool. It's the second one. My memory strikes again. The second article I'm going to cover tonight involves something that I've talked about before in the show a little bit. Brought it up probably 2 or 3 times over the course since we've been doing this. Yeah, I've got a memory that good. And I had brought it up, and the thing of it was I never could find the article because I read it out of a magazine, an actual in my hands magazine, and I think it was Wired was the magazine. It's been quite some time ago, and to be honest, I think I read it at a doctor's office. Is where I read the article at, and it just really left a mark in my memory because I was so excited to see this technology advance. We'll get to that in a bit. Unfortunately, there was a bunch of whatever you want to call it, the experiments or whatever that were wiped out. So crazy. It's just, I'm sure just coincidence anyway. But we've got the EU talking about blocking the sun. We've got that nonsense. We've got some Russia, Ukraine, and even some Wagner nonsense. Even some Saudi Arabia nonsense. And of course, the most nonsensical of the nonsenses, the United States of nonsense. So, that's ought to be our new name, by the way. United States of Nonsense. Just have a flag that says Acme. All right. Let's see. Well, that's actually what I'm gonna have a interact. Oh, okay. I'm just now catching up. Right on, dude. I hear ya. Yeah, that would be sweet. The second article I'm covering actually has to do with solar. Believe it or not. Actually has to do with solar and something that I was so looking forward to. Hopefully hopefully they ain't totally screwed. I don't know why they would be, because if it takes that long, I'm not sure exactly what it was that they were testing with it. Obviously something to do with long term. We'll get to that here in a bit. In fact, I'll go ahead and get jumped on in anyway, because we've got, looks like 7 tabs open. And they're all stuff that I pretty much have to go through, so. No sun, that's right. There's not going to be any sun or solar because Oprah's going to be blocking it. So, you know. I've got an apocalypse for you, and I've got an apocalypse for you. Just reach under your seat, and while you're down there, kiss your ass goodbye. I don't do a good Oprah, I know, but I try. The skin throws it off, right? I mean, I get the pitch and the tone right. The skin just throws it off. Anyway, I know I'm bad. I'm sorry. You should have knew what you were coming into when you seen the thumbnail. That's all I can say. Oh, man. Pardon me. All right. Let's tiptoe through the tulips, shall we? EU, and by the way, that's been up there like breaking news all day. Key points from Putin's Wagner mutiny speeches. So they're really trying to drive that home today. EU to consider blocking out sun, says Bloomberg. It says European Union is looking into technologies involving large-scale interventions in the natural phenomena like sun rays or the atmosphere as part of its new strategy for tackling climate change. Bloomberg reported on Monday, citing a draft document that might be made public later this week. Maybe. Might. The paper Brussels is reportedly about to release is aimed at assessing the consequences of rapid global warming, such as water or food scarcity, and the risks of them triggering new conflicts or mass migration waves, the outlet said. It will also feature an assessment of the potential for studying atmospheric re-engineering technologies and the dangers associated with them. Well, yeah, if Oprah falls, I mean, shit. Can they even measure a magnitude that high? I don't know. Such projects might range from deflecting the sun's rays or blocking them from reaching the Earth's surface to changing the weather patterns, platforms, whatever the hell. The EU would like to invite international discussions on the matter, as well as on potentially creating rules in this field. Except for China and Russia. You two can't come to the meeting. The EU will support international efforts to assess comprehensively the risks and uncertainties of climate interventions, including solar radiation modification, says the document, which is still subject to change, according to Bloomberg. The paper also admits that such technologies introduce new risks to people and ecosystems, while they could also increase power imbalances between nations, spark conflicts, and raise a myriad of ethical, legal, governance, and political issues. Let's see. A lot of words for FUBAR. Geoengineering option is considered amid fears that the international community might miss its target of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit, Bloomberg noted, adding that the EU might turn to more radical options like spraying stratospheric aerosol to reduce the amount of sunlight reaching the Earth. But I thought that was conspiracy theories. I don't understand. How is it? Where did they get their crystal ball from? I don't know. On to this story, which really kind of sucks. Hang on. Part 2 of what really kind of sucks. I had to blow my nose, so it didn't suck that bad for you because I muted my mic. Janitor didn't wipe my nose, but he did wipe out 20 years of groundbreaking research, that son of a bitch. It says a cleaner unwittingly destroyed over 20 years of groundbreaking research by switching off a laboratory freezer in a U.S. university that had been emitting an annoying alarm sound, it has been claimed in a lawsuit. The legal filing says that the janitor, who is not being sued in the lawsuit, tried to stop the repetitive beeping noise by hitting it with a hammer. Oh no, by switching off the freezer while working at the site in 2020. It is claiming damages in excess of $1 million from the cleaner's employer, Daigle Cleaning Systems Incorporated, whom the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and I'm sure I got that first one way wrong, in upstate New York, says failed to adequately train the contractor. Yeah, don't touch shit that you don't understand. Pretty simple rule. The defendant, by and through its negligent, careless, and or reckless supervision and control of the janitor, caused damage to certain cell structures, samples, and or research in the lab, the university claimed. The suit also states that sensitive samples contained in the freezer were required to be kept at precise temperatures and that an alarm had begun to sound to notify staff of a small fluctuation. Scientists determined that the minute change in temperature was not enough to affect the samples. University staff identified that the freezer required attention on or around September 14, 2020, the lawsuit claims, and left a note informing janitorial staff that the freezer's manufacturer would be arriving to perform repairs. This freezer is beeping as it is under repair, a note left by the freezer read, according to the suit. Please do not move or unplug it. No cleaning required in this area. You can press the alarm/test mute button for 5 to 10 seconds if you would like to mute the sound. On September 17, in response to what he would later call annoying alarms, the janitor mistakenly assumed that the circuit breakers that provided electricity to the freezer were off, and that this was the source of the alarm. However, he then unknowingly switched the breakers from on to off, it was claimed. The next day, researchers discovered that the freezer had been switched off and its temperature had risen from around negative 80 degrees Celsius to negative 32 degrees Celsius, which had compromised, destroyed, and rendered unsalvageable more than 20 years of research, according to the lawsuit. One sentence at the end has all of the gold in it. One single sentence. I find that amazing. They just, kind of barely mention this. The work being conducted by the research team was centered around capturing and converting solar rays into usable energy. If I am not mistaken, this would have been the experiment in which they came up with it's like some kind of a moss. And it can grow on your roof and they can somehow collect electricity from it. I have no idea how it works. I read an article in a magazine about it. I mean, over a decade ago, at least 15, possibly between 15 and 20 years ago, I read the article. It's been a minute. And I haven't been able to find that article ever since. But it's, I think it's like a moss that grows. And again, I don't know the details about it, but from my understanding, it was extremely promising looking. It put out very impressive amounts of energy, and it was a matter of testing, right? So, well, I mean, that should have said something 20 years. So, yeah, that would have been, I just thought about that. They said 20 years of research. So, yeah, that would have put it right about right. So, crazy. And people wonder why we can't get anywhere. Because none of these, 20 years ago, I'm curious how many people, not only watching this live, but later in a recording, how many of you had even heard of that technology before? But yet it's been around for 20 years. That's not happenstance. That's not coincidence. You have to be a geek to know this stuff. And I just had to be a geek that had to wait for somebody in a doctor's office. I saw the thing on the magazine, the headline on the magazine, and picked it up. I couldn't refuse reading that. Just frustrating. When there's hemp graphene battery technologies that makes our battery technologies we are currently using today look like a joke that could be put into production right now. But no. And it's frustrating because the answers are out there. The products, the devices, what have you, technologies, they're already out there. They're just not let loose. What Elon Musk did with the Tesla was groundbreaking when it came to electric vehicles. And he continues, and I'm not an Elon Musk fan by any means, but he continues to push forward in that type of technology and is making leaps and bounds in that direction. If he could have a better battery technology to work with, holy cow, he could put out a vehicle that, and I know that there's one, I think that they said supposed to be able to make it across the country. I don't know, or they were working on it. But if he was able to have a hemp graphene battery in his Tesla, he could very likely drive from one side of the country to the other, no problem. Deep South Homestead put out a video. I don't know if it was this morning I watched it, or I think it was this morning. Could have been yesterday morning. It's one of his porch times. And I just happened to catch it. The title of it's what drug me in. And, it's the same thing. He's talking about people, what was the title of it? Hang on, I'm pretty sure it was today. Hang on. Be quicker if I go to my history. I do watch a few videos throughout the day. Here we go. Don't Defend the System was the name of it. Don't Defend the System. And he is more or less talking about, government and their ways of doing things. And I say the very same thing when it comes to energy, whether it be big oil or what have you, any of it. It's pretty crazy. It really truly is. How far we could be if they let us go. computer technology would be exponentially faster. Yes, they're actually holding us back. They have years and years of quote-unquote advancements already planned out, just to string you along. It's insane. It really, truly is. Anywho, I will certainly be keeping my radar on for any more information involving this. I just find it amazing that one sentence at the very, very, very end, and they didn't even really say much about it. I just happened to catch that, and I'm like, wait a minute. Anywho, let's see. So I've got a few, well, couple to do with Wagner, but they're not the only two to deal with Russia. Well, in a roundabout way. But I thought this was interesting, you know. Remember, I said that this whole damn situation just seemed strange. I still can't really put my finger on it. I don't know what is going on with this situation. I don't have a clue. And I don't think a lot of people do. Not in reality. There's some good theories out there. I'll say that. But I haven't seen anything yet to definitively point to anything. But here, criminal case against Wagner dropped, says FSB. Now, you would think that you try to pull that on a nation that's already in battle. Nah, we're gonna Hunter Biden the charges for you. That's what we're gonna do. Oh yeah, that's the new name for dropping all the charges and letting you walk free. The Hunter Biden. They're gonna Hunter Biden the charges for Wagner. Says here, the criminal investigation into the mutiny by the Wagner private military company has been dropped, Russia's Federal Security Service, FSB, has announced. Russian President Vladimir Putin previously promised immunity to participants of the insurrection, which was led by Wagner chief Evgeny Prigozhin. The investigation was launched on Friday last week after Prigozhin ordered Wagner forces to move towards major Russian cities in a bid to replace senior figures in the military. However, the revolt was aborted the next day under a deal mediated by Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. The FSB investigation determined that on June 24, participants stopped actions directed at committing the crime, its press service reported on Tuesday. Considering this and other relevant circumstances, the investigative body took a decision on June 27 to stop the criminal investigation. Putin addressed the outcome of the brief turmoil in an address to the nation on Monday, thanking Russian society for showing unity. Addressing the fate of Wagner troops, he said that most of them were patriots devoted to their people and their country, who had been tricked into rebelling. The force stopped at the last line before major bloodshed, Putin added. The Russian leader offered Wagner troops the opportunity to sign contracts with the Defense Ministry or one of the nation's law enforcement agencies to continue serving their country. They can also retire without facing punishment, Putin said. Those unwilling to take either option are free to go to Belarus along with Prigozhin, Putin promised, reiterating that his government does not intend to prosecute either the mutiny leader or troops loyal to him. Water under the bridge that they're going to collect for the waterboarding. And then it'll be water over the towel. Maybe we need to get the group Deep Purple back together and have them write a new hit song. Instead of smoke on the water, water on the towel. Let's see. More headlines. Sorry, oh, no, never mind. Capitalism? What the fuck are you smoking, dude? Okay, so I'm not going to put this out because it's an opinion piece, but I'm definitely going to opine on it. Hang on, let me get it over here. Yeah, that's it. U.S. drug abuse is a product of capitalism, not China. Wait a minute. Isn't drug abuse just as bad in communist countries? Thank you very much. Just saying, it doesn't matter. So, moving on from the Hunter Bidening of charges to Prigozhin and his crew, U.S. diplomats are ordered not to discuss the Wagner mutiny. Oh, really? So apparently, they must have had a fair amount of knowledge and or involvement, is my thoughts. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken issued an urgent cable on Friday night telling American officials around the globe not to speak about the failed armed rebellion by the Wagner private military company in Russia, sources told Axios. U.S. diplomats were only allowed to say that Washington was monitoring the events if asked about the issue by foreign governments, the outlet reported on Tuesday. According to unnamed officials, the message from Blinken stressed that the situation had been dealt with directly by the Secretary of State and his closest staff. The impression among those who received the directive was that Washington had been trying to make sure that American diplomats wouldn't say anything that would make it look like the U.S. was somehow involved in the crisis, one of the sources said. No kidding. The unusual cable showed the level of alarm in the Biden administration about the developments in Russia, Axios wrote. Speaking to ABC on Sunday, Blinken said the mutiny by Wagner was fundamentally an internal matter for the Russians. The actions of the private military company were a direct challenge to Russian President Vladimir Putin's authority, he claimed, adding that we've seen real cracks emerge. Don't look like a real big crack to me. Wagner Group, which was fighting on Russia's side in the conflict in Ukraine and was instrumental to the capture of the strategic city of Artemovsk, or Bakhmut, in May, launched a mutiny late on Friday. The head of the PMC, hey man, he really needs to put out a mixtape with that, right? I mean, head of the PMC? Yeah, I don't know what the hell those letters could stand for, but that would sound badass in a rap song, wouldn't it? PMC, you know me, right? I mean, what? Give me 6 months and I'll put my own mixtape out. It'll be good. Anyway. Moving on. All right, let's see. Congress urges Biden to send cluster bombs to Kiev, says media. Well, I mean, you sent him everything else to turn it into a clusterfuck. Why not the bombs, too? I mean, okay, so this, yeah, I've got issues with this, and I'm pretty sure the Geneva Convention does, too. So these are like little bitty explosive devices that they can like literally litter across the landscape. And that means anybody, I don't know, farming the field or walking to school or maybe going to the water hole might get a leg blown off. It's crazy. There's a reason why they're not supposed to use these things. But Congress, here in the United States of America, is pushing for it. It says here Washington should supply Kiev with artillery-delivered cluster bombs. A group of U.S. Congress representatives told President Joe Biden in a letter last week, Foreign Policy reported on Monday. The lawmakers urged the White House to put what they called America's vast arsenal of the highly controversial munitions to its intended use. Cluster bombs carry smaller explosive submunitions that are released in flight and scattered across the target area. Typically used against personnel in lightly armored vehicles, according to Foreign Policy, the U.S. designed bombs, also known as dual-purpose improved conventional munitions, or DPSCMs, I don't know, it's DPSCMs, how do you pronounce that? Aren't acronyms supposed to roll off your tongue? That don't roll, that shit almost went down my throat. Anyway, can penetrate 4 to 8 inches, 10 to 20 centimeters of armor. The munitions have a tendency to leave behind undetonated duds that can remain in former conflict zones for decades. The fact prompted more than 110 nations, including many NATO members, to ban cluster bombs under a UN convention back in 2008. The U.S. did not join the convention, but banned exports of cluster bombs with a dud rate of more than 1% in 2009. The ban covered most of its existing stockpile. Now the lawmakers, who are all members of the Congress Helsinki Commission, which monitors human rights in 57 OSCE nations, push for their transfer to Ukraine to be used in a conflict zone. So, these are the people who monitor human rights. These are the people that are supposed to be protecting human rights. And they are urging Congress to send those munitions. And maybe, I could be wrong, maybe Geneva doesn't have them banned. I thought they were banned by Geneva Convention. I could be wrong. Maybe I was thinking of this ban for the 110 nations that had banned them. I mean, you would think 110 nations. It's crazy. What? Oh, what exactly? What was Hexafoos? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I was being an idiot. Like usual, normal night. Yeah, this is crazy though. This stuff has really got to get stopped. Let's see. 2 more tabs here. Actually going to be a kind of an easy night, looks like. Oh. Well, you know, I try. And I try to, you know, hooked on phonics anything that I have trouble with. Ever since we've been covering the Ukrainian conflict, I constantly have to clean the spit off my monitors from saying Russian names. I'm kidding. But I couldn't resist that. Let's see. This is going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. We'll see where it goes. I haven't even read the article, but, I mean, common sense pretty much is enough here, I believe. Saudi Arabia set to cut oil supply to U.S., says Bloomberg. Saudi Arabia could slash oil exports to the U.S. in July, which would result in the tightening of Western markets, Bloomberg reported on Monday. The kingdom is set to unilaterally reduce its crude production next month by 1 million barrels per day, which equates to a 10% drop. The move would slash the country's total output to 9 million barrels a day, its lowest level since 2011. After the production cut, Riyadh would have less than 6 million barrels for export, according to Bloomberg estimates. As a result, oil exports to the Western countries could be affected more than shipments to Asia, Saudi Arabia's primary market, the outlet predicted. The bulk of that would go east of Suez, where Saudi Aramco, the state-controlled oil giant, has several Asian refiners. They would get as much crude as they requested. That means any cuts will be felt west of Suez, Europe, and the U.S., the article stated. Prioritizing supplies to traditional Asian markets, Riyadh could reduce exports to the U.S. to force a tightening of the market that would be evident in inventory reports, the outlet said. Aramco controls the largest refinery by capacity in the U.S., Motiva, and could influence supplies to the 63,000 BPD facility in Port Arthur as well, Bloomberg noted. Although the U.S. is now less dependent on Saudi crude, it's probably the best chance Riyadh has to jumpstart prices, the outlet claimed. Production cuts would be extended beyond July. Saudi Energy Minister Prince Abdul Aziz bin Salman has revealed. Might be salmon. I don't know. Does he swim upriver like certain time of the year or some shit? I don't. Let me know. The potential move would add to voluntary cuts agreed between Riyadh and several large OPEC Plus producers, including Russia, which came into effect in May. Whatever, fish guy. So yeah, that's telling you that the fuel prices could be going up exponentially in the future. So and whenever they try to say Biden didn't do it, I'm pretty sure that Biden's international relations is the cause for a whole lot of crap that the Americans are dealing with. And then, just to make this with a little pretty bow on top, U.S. prompting world to turn away from dollars, says an IMF official. Now, that doesn't stand for I'm a motherfucker. It's the International Monetary Fund. And they just happen to be motherfuckers. But anyway, they're the motherfuckers with the key to the bank. Right? The big bank. And so it might be important to pay attention to what they say. Maybe. I don't know. Washington has created conditions that force countries worldwide to search for alternatives to the U.S. dollar, Russia's representative at the International Monetary Fund, IMF, told RIA Novosti on Monday. According to Aleksey Mosin, more states are boosting the use of alternative currencies in cross-border transactions, in particular the Chinese yuan. We can see that Iranians, Brazilians, and Saudis are already switching to trade in yuan, not only with China, but also with third countries, Mosin noted. I mean, what are you going to do when yuan gets kind of busy? I mean, because you can only work so fast. I mean, do you hire a second guy named Juan? Or, I don't know how that works. He linked the greenback's long-standing dominance in the global economy to a lack of competition, as the dollar accounts for most international settlements or whatever deposits worldwide. Read, Mike, read. However, American officials are already sounding the alarm over the greenback's fate, Mosin claimed, due to what he described as the abandonment of the U.S. currency. It's clear that it will not happen at once, but the process has begun, he said. He said, she said. The U.S. uses the dollar for the purposes of national interest and the economic and financial obligations of one country. Therefore, it is wrong that it is so widely used elsewhere, Mosin concluded. So this cat's literally saying, more or less, I mean, let me just break it down, that we use the U.S. dollar like a weapon, and we try to bitch slap everybody with it. And that's pretty accurate. I'm telling you, we're in for some crazy times, folks. We have got so many things that are falling apart. And my biggest fear is that every damn wall of the card house is going to fall at the same time. So, that's always fun to look towards. Huh. Man, oh man, coffee. I forgot to fill my e-cig before the show. I was like running behind on everything, so. But I did get another task done today. I had that wood that was out there from that old microwave cart thing that I wanted to get all the hardware off of it and all that good stuff. So got all that off of it. Wood's out there ready to be picked up by the trash company, and all the hardware's in a Ziploc bag and my thing of nuts and bolts. Got that done. Some other stuff cleaned up outside today. Got the sticks all picked back up. I was gonna mow, but I wouldn't be able to tell where it's been a month. It's been like a month since I mowed. And my grass hasn't grown enough to be able to tell where I cut it or not. And I don't have weeds all over the yard, so I wouldn't know where I cut and where I didn't cut. So not only that, but I cut grass kind of short, to be honest. And with it already being in so much trouble as far as lack of moisture, I really don't want to cut it when it's already so damn dry. And there's no guarantee for rain in the forecast. There's fairly good chance on a couple of the days, but it seems this summer it just keeps going around us. Every single time it goes around us. Let's see. Fun. Alright, got some headlines. Just tastes so good. And I'm like about at the end of my wicks because I vape 60 mils worth and then I replace my wicks and it stays tasting real mighty tasty all the way up until when I change it. That's why I do that. I can make it through a whole 120 mil bottle with a wick, but it gets kind of nasty there at the end. Nasty. And there's no need for it. So, literally a little bit of cotton wick. That's not much. Just a little bitty, just a little bit. You just cut a little bit off the tampon. And no, I'm kidding. I don't use tampon cotton in my e-cig. Although you could, I wouldn't suggest using used, but you technically you could use the cotton from one. And it's been done. Been done. Not by I, but it's been done. But the best thing you can get, hairdressers have this, and I don't know what it's called. I don't have any. I need to get a box, to be honest. They have, it's like a real long, like, cotton rope. And they use it, I guess, for when they do perms and all that good stuff. So, anyway, that's like the best stuff to get, because it's like 3 lifetime supplies of vaping cotton for $20 or something. I mean, they didn't used to be very expensive for a box. One moment. Alrighty. And that's what I'm all about. Because, I'm taking my addiction with me. Not only, howdy Angel, not only, do I get to continue to intake nicotine when all the 7-Elevens are closed and there's no more Marlboros to be had. I want to be sitting there nicking away like any other time. But it also puts you in one hell of a bartering position. And a little bit of 100 milligram nicotine goes a hell of a long way. So, that's why I got into... Pardon me. That's why I got into vaping. I didn't get into vaping because I wanted to quit smoking. At that point in time in my life, I had no intention to quit smoking. I did it because I figured if things went sideways, I sat there and I thought, 2 years. How many packs of cigarettes would I smoke in 2 years? Now, mind you, I was smoking 3 packs a day, so do the math. And then I thought about how big of a room would it even take to store 2 years of cigarettes smoking 3 packs a day. I mean, really quick here, we're starting to get completely unrealistic. And, of course, preppers have long talked about the ability to make alcohol and stuff like that to barter and how good of a barter tool it is, and it truly is. Nicotine would be much the same way. So, again, that's why I got into vaping to begin with, because I saw that and I thought, well, shit, you could put 2 years of vaping supplies in a frickin' shoebox. That's no joke. And it's very cheap to do so. So, it probably, I've mentioned this before, it maybe cost me $50-$60 a year to vape, and I don't even know if it costs me that much, to be honest. I don't know if it costs me $20 a year to vape. To be honest, it's not much. It's not much. 1 gallon of vegetable glycerin lasts me years, and that's like what you use the most. You know, flavorings, they last you for a good while, especially if you buy the bulk sizes. That's why I do it. So, and it was, you know, initially, so I would have something not only for myself, for my own nicotine needs, but to barter. It was, I mean, that bartering was a specific thing I had in mind. And if you know how to make your own coils, if you know how to make your own wick, if you... hell to the yeah. Alright, I guess I can read some headlines. Shooter in gay nightclub attack gets 2,200 year sentence. That's a few years. What are you hitting me with? Oh. Yeah, that's a few years. Banned Moldovan party leader to form new political bloc. Pentagon names finalist and bid to replace Bradley. Are you talking about Manning? Because I'm pretty sure he'll get totally offended if you keep calling him Bradley. Anyway, they're talking about a light armored vehicle. I think it's a troop transport, if I'm not mistaken. Bradley fighting vehicle, if I remember correctly. But I think you can transport troops in it too, if I'm not mistaken. Anywho, they're going to replace him. They've seen how badly the Bradley gets fucked up in Ukraine. So they're like, we need to get something a little better than that. I mean, shit, that didn't protect them people at all. We better replace that. That's how that works. Global oil demand will keep growing, says OPEC. Right? And I had already talked about how Saudi Arabia is going to cut us off the teat. U.S. prompting world... Oh, I covered that one. And that one. U.S. spooks harassing Russia's UN diplomats, says Moscow. Belarusian opposition was ready to stage armed coup amid Russia crisis. Plotting West plotting color revolution in Serbia, says Moscow. Let's see. I covered that one. Turkish lira hits all-time low. Let's see. Russia avoided civil war, says Putin. Wagner to hand over heavy weapons, says Russian Ministry of Defense. I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, I can't really figure that whole thing out. So I'm withholding, I do believe that my initial thought was way off. That maybe not completely off, but I think totally missed the main part of what really went on. But I do think the U.S. government had contact with Prigozhin, and I do think on some level was working with him. I think. I don't know. Now, whether or not he was playing double agent or what. Who knows? Kiev explains slow counteroffensive, says Politico. Yeah, you suck. That's why. Russia and Belarus complete integration of payment networks, says Envoy. Trump heard discussing military secrets in new audio. Oh my God. Next you'll be like, you could hear him tinkle in audio. Western services inspired Wagner revolt, says Russian National Guard head. Wait, the Russian National Guard does what? Wait, huh? Russia to legalize cryptocurrency, says an official. A Wagner group was fully funded by Russia, says Putin. A Ukrainian victory is impossible, says Orban. Well, at least somebody over there is thinking. Ex-emergency chief sentenced over mall fire that killed dozens. Taiwan outlines terms for potential attack on Beijing's forces. You might not want to try that, homie. I don't think that will end well. Germany facing deeper recession, says survey. Russia's top MP wants mutiny evacuees punished. U.S. will seek to restore military contacts with China, says White House, so they still haven't been in contact. Let's see. Saudi Arabia set to cut oil. Oh, I covered that one. Lukashenko details talks with Putin and mediation to stop mutiny. Musk calls out crazy and cruel take on Russia. Trump only living U.S. president not descended from slaveholders, says Reuters. Yeah. Let's see. A janitor wipes out... Oh, I covered that one. Russia and Ukraine need to resolve historical issues, says China. Let's see. Oh, U.S. Congress urges Biden to send... Oh, covered that one. U.S. presidential candidate asked what a Uyghur is. That's kind of crazy because if he's a U.S. politician, he should probably know those things. Just saying. Especially if you're running for president because, EU to consider... Oh, covered that. NATO chief warns against underestimating Russia. I've been warning about that for over a year. Well over a year. I've warned about that for a long damn time. And UK seeks creative ways to seize Russian assets. Yeah, you just put a gun in their face and you say, give it to me. Anywho. Well, that's, I don't know, what nations think, it would seem. Huh. Fun times. Anyway, I did actually get through that relatively quick. I am gonna jet out of here. And, hang on here. And, God willing, we'll be back tomorrow and do it again. Hopefully it doesn't get too crazy this week. I'm still trying to figure out this whole Wagner thing. None of it makes sense. But I think it's something that we might want to keep an eye on. So, a whole lot of craziness going on. Anyway, I am going to get out of here. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it again. Thanks for coming tonight. I hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.